Hi everyone. So I am back again with mentoring sessions with Pastor M. And today I'm going to be talking about 7 mistakes married men make. And this was literally ripped out of me because a lot of women sent me messages. You have been supporting the men. When are you going to tell the men what they're doing wrong? Oh, I struggled a bit with this because the truth is men don't usually receive from women, and that's one of the mistakes I'm going to talk about. So we're starting today with 7 mistakes married men make. So I'm going to get right into it. Hi everyone. So it has come to my attention that a lot of fake pages have been created for me on different social media platforms, asking people to give money, requesting some kind of support to some orphanage somewhere, and they ask you to call. I just wanted to do this disclaimer because I don't want you to be scammed by these people. I do not ask for money in your DM or send you a message asking for money or asking you to give any kind of money to any orphanage or anything. I would not do that. Secondly, I have only one page on every social media platform. So on Instagram, I have one page at Pastor Mildred. On YouTube, it's Mildred Kingsley-Okonkwo, and on Facebook is Mildred Kingsley-Okonkwo. I do not have any other backup page or fan page or any of that sort of page. So please be careful when you're dealing with people on social media. Be very careful. My other handles do not have pastor, do not have, my surname is Kingsley-Okonkwo and not Okonkwo, so just be careful out there. I also wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for being a part of my tribe and the community on every platform. Because of you, I get to do what I do every day and I love doing it. Thank you everyone for being such a huge support to everything that I do. God bless you. First mistake is thinking that men and women are the same. First mistake married men make, thinking men and women are the same. And please note, this is in no particular order. I'm just going to go with them as they come to me. So the first mistake that I think we need to address is that men and women are not the same. So men always think that because they can take something, it means that we too can take it, which is not necessarily true. A lot of times men think because they can take something that we give, it means that we too can take it. Not true. Big mistake. And I want to save you a lot of trouble if you're going to listen to what I have to say. Number 1, don't say anything you don't mean. When you say something, you have to mean it. Secondly, don't say anything you want us to forget. Because a lot of men do that. And they say, but when you said I was a stupid man, I forgot about it. And I told you 25 years ago that your food was not sweet. And you still remember. Yes, we remember. And we will keep remembering. If you ever do anything that you don't want your wife to remember, then trust me, you don't even have the concept of the fact that men and women are different. We are so different. So when you're talking to your wife, don't talk to your wife like she's a guy. She's not a guy. She doesn't get it. She will not get it. You have to deal with her like a different species. Women are very different from men. And I'm not going to go into the differences. Very soon, my husband is coming out with an amazing book called Pink and Blue, and he's going to deal with it there. So in fact, I recommend that book even before it's out. But I just want to say a few things. It's important that you understand that the way a woman receives correction is different from the way a man receives correction. The way a woman learns is different from the way a man learns. Let me give you an example, typical example. Most men, and I mean I'm not generalizing, that's why I'm not saying all men, but most men are better at driving than women. So let me give you a practical example. Most of the women that I know, when they were learning to drive, I think that women generally have, I'm not sure now, but I think it's been proven, women have problems with space, dimensions, being able to just look at somewhere and know it's 5 meters or 10 meters. So I'll give you an example myself, because that's what I know. So when I was learning how to drive, I would be driving through a gate, and it would just seem to me like my car is not going to squeeze past. And my husband would be like, be coming. I'm like, no, I'm watching my sides. I'm looking at. So I say, two other cars can pass through this gate. So at the time, now that I know how to drive, it looks crazy to me that why did I ever think, they don't even need to open both sides of the gate for me to be able to pass through. But at the time, it just wasn't making sense. It's the same way we walk into a room and it just looks very small to me. I'm also saying, no. If you put a couch here, you put a this in. Then when everything is put in the room, then I realize that, oh, really? And I've asked a lot of women and it's the same. Learning to drive, for instance, is one of the times. If your husband, for instance, you're a husband and you're teaching your wife how to drive, chances are you people will fight. I'll tell you, that one. I'm giving you that one for free. You people will fight. It's very rare to find people. Because the man, I really want to use my own personal examples because that's what I know. And I don't want to, accuse anybody of doing anything. But when I was learning how to drive, first thing, my husband was trying to teach me how to drive. So we got into the car and then I make a turn. And my husband says, return. And I'm like, return what? He says, when you return your hand, return. I'm like, what's return your hand? That's Nigerian English, so you know what I mean. I was like, what's return? He said, so one day he just got frustrated. I was on the steering. He said, return. I'm like, what? He just took the steering, like, when you turn, you return. And I just said, when people say return, all I think about is give back something. I'm not really thinking turn your hand. Why didn't you just say turn your hand to the left or turn your hand to the right? This one is when you turn, return. So it's just the way men, and so when I say this thing to men, they're like, when you turn, return now. I'm like, no. And when I say it to women are like, what do you mean return? Tell her to turn her hand to the left or to the right. So women and men are totally different, and in marriage it's no different. So the things that you take for granted, you assume that your wife too will take for granted. We just curse each other, it's over. We didn't just curse each other, it's over. I hear men say things like, let's just move on. We can't just move on because women are more past-oriented. A woman will remember things that have happened in the past in detail, and a man just wants to move forward. And then you say, maybe a man and a woman are quarreling. And the truth is, because I'm a counselor, I encounter some of these things, a relationship counselor. So a lot of times when we see couples in counseling, and you say to the man or the woman, we start with the woman and say, what's the issue? The woman tells you all the things that are happening, and then the man says, yes, I used to do that, but it was in the past. And when you ask the woman, when was the last time you did it? She will say, yesterday. You say, yes, it's the past. Yesterday is not the past, uncle. It's not. The past is not yesterday. It's not last week. It's not even 5 years ago. That's not our past. We lump everything together. And until you begin to realize that our minds work very differently, you will keep having problems with your wife. You say, I don't know why she doesn't get it. I'm trying to say, your communication problem, because we are different. Stop treating us like we are men. We are not men, we are women. And women are very, very different from men. The one that, honestly, I cannot deal with is when a man has been caught cheating and he says to his wife, it doesn't mean anything. And my question is always, to whom? It doesn't mean anything to whom. So if you don't want something that is going to hurt your wife or that she's going to, don't do it. It's as simple as that. So first mistake is assuming that we are the same. So I did this, she gets it. She doesn't get it. So explain it to her and explain it patiently. Don't get upset because you are saying something and she's not getting it. We are different. Okay, so that's the first mistake. Second mistake, and this one, a lot of men are guilty of this. A lot of men. Second mistake is not finishing what you started. And I'll give you a very, very practical example. So you meet a girl, you guys are dating, or rather, no, you've never started dating. You want to get her eye, so you're doing everything right. You're sending lunch to her office, you're calling her, you're picking her up, you're doing movies 3 times a week, you're sending gifts just because it's Thursday. You're doing all those romantic things. You're doing everything right. You start dating, you're still doing Mr. Charming, you buy things for her, send stuff to her office for all her friends and colleagues as well. It's her birthday, you pull all the stops out, they bring saxophone. That is funny to me, I'm sorry. They bring saxophone to the office, they don't have I don't even know, is that happy birthday? Happy birthday? Yeah, that's it. So they do all those things, there's balloon, there's flowers, there are gifts every hour on the hour, just because you want to show that you are Mr. Romantic. You do it all. Then, after wedding, we're all looking at each other.
Uncle, last week was my birthday, I didn't even remember. I was like, oh, and we'll have more birthdays. No. The way you started, Uncle, is the way you maintain it. Do you understand? You have to help us. If you started like this, you have to continue. If you started calling her every hour on the hour, it's not inside marriage, you now say, no, we're now busy, we have a project where you are no longer the project. We understand we're no longer the project, but you self, try small. Try small and keep us around the project, even if we're not the main one. Let us be a little bit of the project. So a lot of men do these things. You confuse the woman with all the romantic everything, and then when she gets into marriage, you just stop. Not even gradual. Even people that are hooked on drugs, they at least they will stop small. They don't do cold talking. You just stop. You won't call her. She has gone to work, and she'll just come back to the house to meet me. But you started this. So if you started it, please continue. This is what really destroys a lot of marriages. A lot of women are heartbroken. A lot of women are upset. A lot of women are angry. And they're probably not telling you because they've said it over and over again, but you're not listening. They've tried everything to communicate to you that if you started this thing, you're the one that spoils me. You can't spoil me and then now move on with your life. It doesn't work that way. So a lot of times men are dealing with women who are disgruntled, women who are angry, women who are upset, women who are miserable. They're just going through the motions. They're cooking for you. They're sleeping with you. They're doing everything you want them to do. But inside of them, they've logged out. That's the honest truth. A lot of women have logged out. And the reason why I know that a lot of women are logged out is when I, for instance, when I say, oh, women, this month, because I also pastor a church. So I say, oh, women, this month we're going to pray. You start seeing messages in my WhatsApp, messages in my DM. Why must we always pray for these men? The things they've done to us. I'm like, Auntie, what did they really do? What did they do? What did they do? That they were calling and not calling you again. Don't be angry now. Yeah, forgive and forget. But the truth is that it's very bad. It's very hard for someone to get used to being pampered and spoiled and loved, and all of a sudden she just comes into your house and then you expect her to just move on as if nothing happened. A lot of women complain about the fact that their husbands seem to be different from, so you hear things like, you are not what I expected. This is not the man I married. It's not that you're not the man she married. It's just that you've forgotten that you have to keep doing the things that you were doing before. I want to read to you a scripture that I think may help you understand this much easier. Proverbs 12:27 in the New King James Version. And it says, the lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting. It's interesting that the Bible will call this person a lazy man. And because that's what I think a lot of married men become. They become lazy. And it's, like I said, it's very interesting that we call him lazy because this man went out to hunt. He says he did not roast what he took in hunting. So which means that he went out to hunt. It's just that he did not process it. He did not finish what he started. He did not complete the process. So he went out to hunt, just like most men. Most men are hunters. So they will go out and hunt and bring them. But when it's now time to take care of what they hunted, usually that's where they fail. And it is laziness. It's not even really just a lack of knowledge. Because most times when I talk to men in counseling, I say, oh, but do you know that these are the things you were doing that your wife liked? They're like, yes. I say, so why did you stop them? Meaning that you know what to do. You're just not as interested. You're not interested. You don't want to make the effort. And that's laziness. So it's not just enough to catch the thing, but you must process it. It says the man is lazy because he didn't roast what he took in hunting. And you know what? It takes a lot to go hunting. Oh. So that means he woke up in the morning. He carry machete. He carry arrow. Carry bow. Carry spear. Carry, what are the things? Trap. Basket. Came up with a plan. This is where I'll put the thing. This is how I'll do it. This is where I'll set the trap. And then he was checking on the trap to be sure it has caught something. But the minute he took it home, the Bible says he did not roast it. Laziness. He didn't process it. It's the same thing. You get the girl. She comes into you and she's now your wife. My brother, there's a roasting to be done. You will roast her. You will do all that's necessary. Spoil her. Do all that needs to be done. Because the same way, whatever the game you caught in hunting will spoil if you don't roast it. The same way, your marriage will spoil if you don't continue the process. So we have a lot of bitter women. And marriages could be a lot better if men would just move past that laziness of not finishing what they started. So So the second mistake that married men make is they just start, but they don't finish. They hunt, but they don't process.
Hi everyone. So it has come to my attention that a lot of fake pages have been created for me on different social media platforms, asking people to give money, requesting some kind of support to some orphanage somewhere, and they ask you to call. I just wanted to do this disclaimer because I don't want you to be scammed by these people. I do not ask for money in your DM or send you a message asking for money or asking you to give any kind of money to any orphanage or anything. I would not do that. Secondly, I have only one page on every social media platform. So on Instagram, I have one page at Pastor Mildred. On YouTube, it's Mildred Kingsley-Okonkwo, and on Facebook is Mildred Kingsley-Okonkwo. I do not have any other backup page or fan page or any of that sort of page. So please be careful when you're dealing with people on social media. Be very careful. My other handles do not have pastor, do not have, my surname is Kingsley-Okonkwo and not Okonkwo, so just be careful out there. I also wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for being a part of my tribe and the community on every platform. Because of you, I get to do what I do every day and I love doing it. Thank you everyone for being such a huge support to everything that I do. God bless you.
So the third mistake that married men make, and this one too is very common, is wanting a wife but not being ready to be a husband. Yeah. So wanting a wife, you want a wife but you're not ready to be a husband. And this one is funny because men don't even know that they do this. Married men don't know that they do this. They think that just because they marry someone, it shows or is a sign that they're ready to be husbands. No. Marrying a wife doesn't necessarily mean that you are ready to be a husband. Interestingly, I got this from a friend of mine called Ekene. And I've been thinking about it a lot and meditating on it a lot. And it just occurred to me that it's true. A lot of men are old enough, so they follow the normal sequence. You know, you go to primary school, go to secondary school, then university, then you serve, then you get a job, then you get a wife. So it just feels like it's a part of the plan. So they're not necessarily ready to do what it takes to be a husband. They're not ready for the responsibility. Now, they think they're ready for it because they can afford to marry a wife, or that they are able to convince someone's daughter to marry them. But the real responsibility of being a husband, most men are not ready for. So they make that mistake of constantly pointing fingers at the woman. So I know for a fact that a couple of my videos have been circulated mostly by men, interestingly. So a lot of women have come to my DM to accuse me. You're supporting the men. You're making them feel like kings. My sister. My own man is a king, marry your own, but that aside. Men, don't spend all your time checking whether the women are doing theirs and forgetting to do yours. Because marriage takes two people for it to work. So a lot of women are overwhelmed. They're doing everything. And it just seems like they're not doing anything because the man is not playing his part. Marriage is too heavy for only one person to carry. I'll say that again. Marriage is too heavy for only one person to carry. And when the Bible said women should submit, it didn't say women should just submit, just go on the road and be submitting. It said they should submit to the man as the head, as the leader. So your job is to lead. So what's the point in submitting to somebody who is not going to take the responsibility of leading? And leading is not bullying. Leading is not that you eat two meats when other people eat one. Leading is not that when you enter the house, everybody takes off, take cover. That is back, everybody's hiding. That's not leading. That's bullying. That's dictatorship, but that's not leading. Leading, and the Bible didn't even say you should just lead. The Bible says you should lead the way Christ led. So I'm going to read a couple of scriptures to you because I know it's easy for men, married men, to quote, women submit to your husband, women submit to your husband. And I totally agree with you. Women should submit to their husband. You pick somebody to lead you, won't you submit to his leadership? I agree. But there's also your own role. And the same way that scripture is written to women, men's own is there. They wrote it together. I don't know how men just skip their own part and jump to the women's own. I'm going to read it and I'm going to say what I need to say. But men, please remember that we're still friends. I'm still on your side. Please still share my videos. I hear you're my biggest fans. Okay, so let's read. Let's start from Ephesians 5:25 and I'll read the Amplified version.
because I think it specifically speaks to men. And so it says, husbands, love your wives. Now it takes the time to explain what that love means. It says, seek the highest good for her. The highest good for her, and surround her with a caring, unselfish love. And I think God had to put that there because men are very selfish. Kai. He says, with a caring, unselfish love, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. So it's not just about loving me and leading me anyhow. It's about doing it the way Christ did for the church. Christ was willing to die. Uncle, are you willing to die for your wife? I know many men who are not. I know many men that they can't even be bothered. We're still reading, no? It says, so that he might sanctify the church, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that in turn he might present the church to himself in glorious splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she would be holy, set apart for God and blameless. So Jesus was ready to do the work of preparing the church to be everything he wants the church to be. So as a husband, your job and your responsibility to that woman that you went to carry from her father's house. She did not force you. You went there, proposed. They say, bring yam, you brought. You came there with your family, say you saw flower. You saw ugu, you saw water leaf. You want to pick flower. They say, bring palm wine. You say you are a man. You brought 8. Now, Ngwanu, do the real work of the marriage. The real work of the marriage is leadership. It's leadership. It is presenting her, protecting her, making her better. Everything that is required for that woman to be all that she can be is your responsibility. So if you feel that your wife, I don't know, this woman doesn't know how to dress, uncle, please pay stylist now. They didn't really swear for her. She got the body. She wear the clothes for you. It's not a problem. If you don't like the way she talks, uncle, pay for school now, or fitness. What they call these things now? Finishing school. Pay for her. If you don't like something, change it. If you think she can't cook, we're not averse to chef. You can bring chef to help her. She will help you to eat with you. See, the utmost good, what you need her to be, do the work of making her. So don't be abusing her. The Bible says that whatever he called them was what it became. That's what it talks about Adam. So as the husband, say what you want to see. Do the responsibility of loving your wife. We're not finished though, because when men are quoting this thing, it's very easy. So let me continue. It says, even so, husbands should and are morally obligated to love their own wives as being, in a sense, their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself. It says, for no one ever hated his own body, but instead he nourishes, protects, and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church. Are you nourishing your wife? Are you protecting her? Are you cherishing her? Auntie, if you're sitting beside your husband, look him in the eye and say, honey, are you nourishing me? Are you protecting me? Are you cherishing me? Because that's his responsibility. That's actually what his job is. Verse 33 is where I'm going. Let me jump. It says, however, each man among you, without exception, as far as you're a married man, you are to love your own wife as your very own self, with behavior that is worthy of respect and esteem. So all the times you say your wife doesn't respect you, is your behavior worthy of respect and esteem. It says, always seeking the best for her with an attitude of loving kindness. So the responsibility of the man to love and lead even comes before that of the woman to submit. Let me close this particular point with this. I know I've said that men want to get wives, but they don't want the responsibility. Let me put it in terms that you can understand as a man. If you buy a car, you don't wait for something to go wrong with the car. You service it after a few months. Especially if you bought a really expensive brand new car. They will even give you time. Toyota will give you dates. You come on the next appointment, they give you card as if it's child that is sick. And most men will keep that appointment. They will service the car. They won't wait for the car to break down. Uncle, your wife too needs servicing. The way you service your car is the way you should service your wife. When you buy a car, they don't disturb you to service the car. It is only when you marry wife that is service now is wahala.
it is your responsibility to not just go and carry somebody's daughter, but to do what it takes to maintain her, to cherish her, to protect her, and to nourish her. So that's the third mistake that married men make.
Hi everyone. So it has come to my attention that a lot of fake pages have been created for me on different social media platforms, asking people to give money, requesting some kind of support to some orphanage somewhere, and they ask you to call. I just wanted to do this disclaimer because I don't want you to be scammed by these people. I do not ask for money in your DM or send you a message asking for money or asking you to give any kind of money to any orphanage or anything. I would not do that. Secondly, I have only one page on every social media platform. So on Instagram, I have one page at Pastor Mildred. On YouTube, it's Mildred Kingsley-Okonkwo, and on Facebook is Mildred Kingsley-Okonkwo. I do not have any other backup page or fan page or any of that sort of page. So please be careful when you're dealing with people on social media. Be very careful. My other handles do not have pastor, my surname is Kingsley-Okonkwo and not Okonkwo, so just be careful out there. I also wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for being a part of my tribe and the community on every platform. Because of you, I get to do what I do every day, and I love doing it. Thank you everyone for being such a huge support to everything that I do. God bless you.